Salutations, nerds. I'm Rick Y, the wise guy, and today is December 6th, 2024, and I've seen some folks on my social media asking about the goings-on in Syria. So I thought it would be a good day to try and cover the happenings from how we got here to what's going on now and what looks to be the upcoming situation as it unfolds, because in the coming months, maybe weeks, especially when it comes to the geopolitical state in Ukraine. While a lot of Americans, for some reason, don't wish to really be a part of the global community, within which we've actually established ourselves over the past millennium, the majority reasoning behind this is because they just don't know and don't have any interest in knowing what's outside of our little bubble. So this general lack of information on our parts is actually something of a joke outside of the US. So let's learn, shall we? For those of you who haven't really had the chance to keep up, Syria is a small country in the Middle East. Now, when I say it's in the Middle East, I mean it is in the middle of the Middle East. I'm not joking. North is Turkey, to its east is Iraq, south of that is Jordan and prominently Saudi Arabia, and to its west is the island of Cyprus and the small coastal nation of Lebanon. I mean that Syria is smack dab center and always has been, and because of that, strife is a very common occurrence throughout recorded history. But for the sake of context, we're just going to cover the rise of the modern state of Syria as we know it today. And that begins with the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And no, I'm not speaking about the furniture. A lot actually came from the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And even today, we kind of see reverbs of that. Syria being one of those big reverberations. So let's rewind. Based upon a French mandate in the 1940s, the state of Syria, as we know it today, became a country. In 1945, it became a new republic and started the United Nations along with the other members. It was partially founded by Syria. And from the 50s to the 70s, it was a really shaky period. There were a lot of different occasions where the military tried carrying out coup after coup after coup. In 1963 specifically, a political party called the Ba'ath Party used their own military influence, justified by basically an emergency declaration of power or martial law as known in other parts of the world, and took over the government and established a one-party rule that would last all the way until 2011. If the Ba'ath Party, by the way, sounds familiar, it's because it's the same party that ruled Iraq under Saddam Hussein from 1968 to 2003, when Hussein went to a big farm upstate. In that 48 years, the Consolidated Powers suspended constitutional protection. And during the height of the unrest in the 60s and the 70s, a man by the name of Hafez al-Assad took advantage of this disarray, and along with his faction of the party, he seized control of the government. And there, he ruled until his death in 2000. And at this point, enter the current president and ruthless authoritarian Bashar al-Assad, who inherited the position from his father. Today, he remains in power as of this recording. But I will get to why I'm making that delineation with that kind of emphasis as of this recording. As I said, this one-party state rule ended in 2011. but it's actually currently 2024. So what happened? Well, this is where things get really hairy. In 2011, an event called the Arab Spring took place, and this was a massive anti-government protest all across Arab nations, not just one. And in this turmoil came a multi-pronged civil war inside of Syria. It's been brutal. 6 million people were displaced from their homes, and a militant group known as the Islamic State, or IS, was formed. This group captured a lot of Syrian cities, and as a response, the United States launched a coalition defeated IS in territory in Syria itself. Keep in mind, I specified that IS is still not defeated, they just defeated them in territory. Regardless of Trump's statements, his administration did not, in fact, defeat ISIS, as he likes to claim. And furthermore, I'm going to give credit to the military for things like this. And until I see a president actually go into battle the way Theodore Roosevelt went in with his Rough Riders, I really have a hard time crediting them for any battle wins that they just oversaw. I mean, that goes for Obama too. Saying he defeated Osama bin Laden just never really sat right with me. He gave the orders and watched. But that's just me. I understand the work that goes into these things. Bamsis! And so I just hesitate to give credit where it may not be due. Y'all do what you want. I'm not trying to guide your decisions here. I just try to refrain in telling people how to think. But anyways, when IS was pushed out of the primary territories within Syria, 3 new systems rose. The Syrian interim government, the Syrian Salvation Government, and the Rojava. So as to hopefully gain traction in the political battles with Assad and his authoritarian rule, while the rebels carried out the military battles. So now that we've been fully informed on the recent history, it's an insane long past, what is going on now? Well, quite a lot. Rebel groups within the country have been fighting for years to topple the current government of Syria and the President Bashar al-Assad. However, with the help of Russia, the authoritarian regime has held on to power, and they've been able to adequately fight back. On top of that, Iran has also had a lot of interest in the future of Syria and maintains support for Assad as well. And in so doing, they send them weapons, what have you. Hezbollah is another. And so, since the United States and our people have grown very rightfully cynical of war, especially in the Middle East, our leadership has been hesitant to put boots on the ground. And it makes sense. We just got out of 2 decades of straight war. My son, for instance, he lived his infancy, toddler stage, childhood, and teens in a country that was at war perpetually. His generation only recently understands what a world without it feels like. So the current appetite for getting directly involved in another fiasco in the desert just doesn't, sit well. It's not on the radar. The best thing that we could do from our position was help arm and prepare the Syrian rebels. As such, we've been supporting what can be considered a proxy war with Iran and Russia. But recent tides have shifted warring tribes. Since the war in Ukraine, Russia's military machine has been drastically reduced, and their economy has been shattered. Talk of their currency having collapsed even internally, and international trade being directed through means of bartering with India and China have slipped through the media cracks. They're literally now trading potatoes for other products as the global market seems as though it's pretty much done with the ruble for now. I can't speak to them as I haven't been able to truly dig deep and verify it, but there are also reports that they're bringing out tanks from museums and even movie studios to help supply the front in Europe. And at this point, helping Syria's regime is all but economically impossible. Furthermore, their own other true source of adequate support, Iran, has also thrown their towel in to help Russia with the supplies in Ukraine, while also currently carrying out strikes in Yemen. So their resources, too, are being very severely strained. And because of that, the rise of anti-government sentiment, along with within the citizen population, the rebels in Syria are making some very strategic gains. In fact, they've already captured the city of Hama yesterday and a military base in the southern Dara province. On top of that, Syria's third largest city, Homs, the rebels have all but taken it as of this recording and are intent on making their way to the capital city of Damascus. In light of these events, the Russian embassy in Syria has officially urged all of its citizens to leave the country as soon as possible. In a recent interview with CNN, the Syrian rebel leader laid out his and the rebels' goals moving forward. He went on to detail the internal support that has been growing for their efforts and against the current leadership itself. He also talked about restructuring military factions, where they unified their training with other rebel members and groups from different parts of the country so as to coordinate and organize their attacks more efficiently. At this point in time, it actually appears as though the military is striking the iron while it's glowing hot. By winning hearts and minds to taking full advantage of the weaknesses of their enemy's military, it appears the Syrian rebels will be soon taking the country and putting it back into the hands of the people for the first time since the early 60s. And if that happens, it's going to shake the adversaries of the United States and our allies in a way that I'm not yet sure we can fully appreciate. There is a very real possibility, like in other situations, power vacuum occurs if Bashar al-Assad's reign is indeed coming to an end. But there's also a very real, tangible opportunity for the United States to heed this moment and approach it strategically. The only way to know is by staying informed, and I'll do what I can from where I am to help you out with that. I know this is super complicated, and there are many, many moving parts. So if you have any questions, throw them down in the comments below. And if I can't personally answer them immediately, I'm going to find somebody who certainly can. I can't say for certain what is going to come, but I am looking forward to helping communicate it. So until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay decent. Deuces.